looking very desperate to score. A situation where they're not used to, I guess you can say. If there's one manager that can turn things around at Man City with the current players and with the current injuries they have, it's Pep Guardiola. That was a bit promising and positive. He did the opposite. He defended Marcus Rashford. Good opportunity for Mbappé to showcase his leadership. Valverde is just getting better and better and better. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk Footy. My name is Shaheen, and I'm excited to be here with you again this week. As usual, a lot has happened in the world of football, and let's get right into it. First and foremost, we're going to discuss Ruben Amorim's first game as the Man United head coach. There has been a lot of hype, a lot of discussion about what system he's going to be using, how he's going to approach everything that's going on at Man United. Are the players going to be able to buy into his philosophy and into his system? Is he going to be successful? Is he going to be the solution for Man United's miserable seasons year after year in the past decade? There's a lot of questions around him, and he has been very vocal about how he wants to approach, how he wants to lead. He seems like a very humble personality, and he is very open and honest about how he wants to do things. And the first game, yes, there was some changes in the system. There was a lot of talk about the 3-4-3 formation, and if Man United has the players that are going to be able to cope with the intensity that Amorim's teams play with, or if they're going to be able to execute what he wants his team to do. At the beginning of the game, obviously Man United had a great start. They were able to go up 1-0 in the first 90 seconds from a very interesting play. Dalot was playing as the left wing back in the 3-4-3 formation. And Diallo was playing on the right side of the 3-4-3 formation as the right wing back. And obviously he's a very technical player. He's a very good young player that Man United has got, and game after game he's showing his worth. And he was able to fly down the right flank and provide that assist for Marcus Rashford, who was able to score for his new manager. And as he mentioned in his press conference, it wasn't just Rashford running to the box trying to get to the end of that play. Garnacho or Dalot on the left side was also going and getting into that box. So it looks like he is has started to sell his philosophy and his tactics to his players. It looked like they understood what they want to do and what they need to do, especially at the beginning of the game. But as the game went on, you could see it was a bit more difficult. It was more difficult than it seemed at first. And this is what he touched on in his press conference. The players are still getting used to what they need to do. The approach and the gameplay is a bit different compared to what Erik ten Hag wanted them to do. And he kind of went over these a little bit. So Man United looked different. Man United looked a bit more energetic. The players looked a little bit more energetic. But once again, just like many times this season, they struggled to get the result, and they could only get a tie and only get 1 point. So even though it's an exciting time for United, for Ruben Amorim, maybe for the players, you can see there's a lot of work to be done. Now, what I want to touch on is he had an interview with Gary Neville with Sky Sports, and in that interview, Gary Neville asked about Marcus Rashford and Casemiro having 5 days off and going to America, to the United States, to New York specifically. And he asked Amorim, what are your thoughts on this? And it was very interesting how he answered this, because it was different than how I think Erik ten Hag would have answered that. Erik ten Hag was very honest with questioning his players in the media and kind of throwing them under the bus. However, maybe Ruben Amorim has learned from this. Maybe he's just a different style of manager or person. He did the opposite. He defended Marcus Rashford. He defended Casemiro, and he said it was up to the club what type of standards and what type of rules they set for the players. If the club is not basically clear and is giving players 5 days off, it's up to them. they're men, they're grown people. These guys have kids, they have families, and it's up to them how they decide to spend their time. So if there's a question about whether they should go to the United States or to New York during a very difficult time for the club during the time off, the club has to be a bit more clear. Maybe he even questioned the fact that the club allowed them to go away for 5 days during a difficult period. But the point is, he didn't throw his players under the bus, at least in the media, and he defended them. What kind of conversation he's having with the players in the background, we don't know that, but he was able to defend them, and he was able to question the club and his own approach and the way he sets in standards. And by he, I mean the club, Man United. And obviously now he's the head coach, so he's part of that. So that was good to see. That was a bit promising and positive. This way, at least he will get the likes of Rashford and Casemiro, who's won everything at club level, with his time at Real Madrid. So these guys are professionals. At least Casemiro is. I don't know about Marcus Rashford. I think he still needs to prove himself, but don't even get me started with that. So he defended them, and now it's up to the players to prove him right. So that was good to see. That was very promising to see, and time will tell. Time will tell if he can keep that positive relationship between the players, at least the senior members of the team, and be able to transform Man United and bring them to where everybody thinks they should be. Now let's move on to the other side of Manchester, Man City. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen City get dominated like they got dominated against Tottenham. In every aspect of the game, on the ball, off the ball, in possession, set pieces, counter-attacks, defending, attacking, Spurs just looked on. Spurs looked like they knew what they were doing. They looked comfortable. They looked efficient. They were able to, everything was going well for them, so they had the luck on their side as well. And everything that could have gone wrong for City was going wrong. They were not efficient. They were not good on the ball. They were not good defensively. They were getting exposed on the counter-attack. They were too open. They were not good in 1v1 battles. And they were unlucky. In some of the instances, yes, they could have scored a goal or two and maybe the game would have changed. But the players, Haaland couldn't convert those chances like we're used to seeing him put the ball in the back of the net. So City was not on their top form, and they just lost their 5th game in a row. So it's a very, very difficult and a situation where they're not used to, I guess you can say. So 5 losses in a row, and it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from this. Now, I must admit, you must be crazy to question Pep Guardiola. I mean, after everything this guy has achieved, especially with Man City, how can you ever question his philosophy? How can you ever say his time is up? I mean, that's just crazy. I just think it's very unrealistic, and it's pretty crazy to say Pep Guardiola's time is at City is over and question his contract renewal again. If there's one manager that can turn things around at Man City with the current players and with the current injuries they have, it's Pep Guardiola. Obviously, they do have a lot of injuries, and that's going to affect any team, including Man City, including top teams in the world. And I tell you what, I think this is where we can see how important Rodri has been for Man City. I mean, the stats where Man City hadn't lost 40-something games or maybe even more with Rodri in the lineup and Rodri playing for them. And all of a sudden, he tears his ACL and he's injured, and all of a sudden, Man City is losing. I mean, I don't think this is by chance. I think Rodri is very, very, very important. He's the heart of that team. And maybe this is for those people, maybe even myself a little bit, that were questioning the Ballon d'Or situation with Vinny, saying Vinny should have won, Vinicius deserved it, it shouldn't have been Rodri. Now we can kind of tell that Rodri was very important to that Man City team and also for the Spanish national team. It's going to be very interesting to see how Man City bounce back from this, how Pep Guardiola is going to turn things around. But they're definitely missing Rodri in the middle, in the heart of that team. And yeah, I guess we will see. But it's crazy. You can't question Pep Guardiola renewing his contract. You can't say Pep Guardiola's time is over. Yes, eventually he will leave. But that's not the solution. The solution for Man City getting back and winning games is not Pep Guardiola leaving. Trust me on that. Just like every episode of Let's Talk Footy, we're going to also discuss Real Madrid, because That's my team. Real Madrid won against Leganes 3-0 away from home, and there was a few positives from that game. First one, Mbappé finally scored. He's been looking very desperate to score. The whole team has been looking desperate to get him to score, and thanks to Vinicius, once again, he was able to be clever and jump onto a ball from a good tackle from Bellingham and set Mbappé up for a simple tap-in. So Mbappé scored. Maybe that will relax him a little bit and relax everybody on the team. Jude Bellingham hasn't been scoring a lot of goals this season, so he scored, and that was another positive. And Valverde scored. What a free kick. By the way, Valverde is just getting better and better and better. He's kind of becoming like how Rodri has been for Man City. Valverde is becoming that player for Real Madrid. And I'm going to now remind everybody of something very important. A few episodes back, I questioned Carlo Ancelotti taking Valverde off at halftime and keeping Lucas Vazquez as the right back option, where Vazquez was constantly getting exposed because of his inability to defend.
How can you take off Valverde at halftime? Yes, the team is not doing well. Yes, the midfielders are not doing well. You're 2-1 down. Lucas Vazquez is not doing well for 3-4 games in a row now. Valverde is a perfect player that can actually cover in that position. Put him as a right back. Physically, he will be able to cope. Speed-wise, pace-wise, he will be able to cope with Leao's and other attackers' pace. Strength-wise, he's strong. He'll be able to... And defensively, he has a better understanding of the game. He won't be out of position. He can't be beaten 1v1 too many times. It's shocking.
But Valverde started as a right back, and he did amazing. Defensively, he did great. He was able to cover back and get to the end of crosses from Leganes and actually defend those wingers and defend those crosses. He was able to join the attack. He was able to create chances. He was great in 1v1s. He has speed and pace, and he's strong. Obviously, he doesn't like to play as a right back. That's not really his position. It's kind of a waste to not have him in the midfield, yes. But when you're missing Carvajal, when Lucas Vazquez is not performing well defensively, this is a good solution. And I am very, very happy that Carlo Ancelotti started him as a right back, and he answered it. He was solid, very, very, very good defensively, and he took a free kick and he was able to also get on the scoreboard and score a very, very beautiful goal. So very happy with that. Another positive. Now, is he going to start there again in the Champions League against Liverpool away at Anfield? That's going to be interesting to see, because obviously Real Madrid can use his presence and his power and his strengths in the midfield, and that's going to be key also against Liverpool, but also against players like Diaz or other wingers of Liverpool. Somebody like Valverde is going to be very, very important and most likely helpful. So is Carlo Ancelotti going to stick with Valverde in the right back position? I guess we will see soon. Speaking of that, and speaking of Ballon d'Or, Vinicius Jr looks like he's injured now. He's pulled his hamstring and he's not going to be available for the Liverpool game and more, potentially 2-3 weeks. He finished the game on the weekend. He looked fine after the game, but he's obviously injured. Real Madrid has confirmed that he's not going to be available against Liverpool. This is a big blow for Real Madrid. Like losing Carvajal, losing Militao, losing Rodrigo, now losing Vinicius. You're losing very, very important players at the back, and you're losing very, very, very important players up front. So this is not looking good. Real Madrid has not been doing well in the Champions League. It's looking pretty shaky, and I'm nervous as a Real Madrid fan. But this is a very good opportunity for some of the players to show their quality. Players like Arda Güler, players like Brahim Diaz, who's not back and he looks fit. Players like Endrick, who's been getting very, very little minutes under Carlo Ancelotti ever since he's come to Real Madrid, and he's not happy. I mean, no player would be happy to just get 2, 3, 4 minutes at the end of each game, if that. So this is a good opportunity for these players to step up, to show what they're about, to show their quality. Obviously, Endrick is not going to be able to produce what Vinicius produces or what Rodrigo produces, but he can get more than he gets usually. And It's a chance for them to step up, to train hard, to show that they're ready to maybe even start the game, and hopefully make a difference in a very important game for Real Madrid in the Champions League against Liverpool away at Anfield. And I tell you what, this is almost a must win for Real Madrid. If Real Madrid doesn't win, or if they don't get a result from this game, it's going to be nerve-wracking for them in the Champions League. As always, I guess Real Madrid likes to keep its fans on their toes, and every single year we look like we're not going to go very far in the Champions League. Every single year, pundits and supporters and football fans question if Real Madrid is capable of winning the tournament, and most of the time Real Madrid comes back strong and is able to win the competition. So let's hope this is one of those years again. I don't know. This is not looking good. It honestly is not. I'm nervous, but yeah, I guess time will tell. One more thing before we wrap it up. I think the game against Liverpool in the Champions League on Wednesday is also a good opportunity for Mbappé to showcase his leadership. With Vinicius out, with Rodrigo out, it's time for him to show that he belongs in Real Madrid. It's time for him to showcase his quality, his goal scoring skills, his ability to be the top man for Real Madrid. There has been a lot of question marks so far around him at Real Madrid, and it hasn't been easy for him to transition. He's not doing terrible, in my opinion, but he's also not doing what everybody's hoping he will be doing at Real Madrid. So this is also, not only it's a good opportunity for these younger players to come and step up, but I think it's a good time for Mbappé to step up, to show that in the absence of Vinicius, Rodrigo, Carvajal, Militao, these big names for Real Madrid, he can now step up and be that difference maker. And Real Madrid made the right decision, and Carlo Ancelotti made the right decision, backing him up and bringing him to Real Madrid and trusting him in this difficult period for Real Madrid, I would say. So time will tell. I'm excited for the Champions League. So there's some big games coming up, and I think the biggest of them all is going to be the Liverpool against Real Madrid game, because Liverpool is desperate to beat Real Madrid because they've lost to them so many times in the Champions League, even in the Champions League finals. So Mo Salah and Liverpool are excited about this game, and Liverpool is in top form, top of the Premier League. They're looking solid defensively. They are looking very, very efficient offensively, and they're enjoying themselves at the moment. And opposite to that, Real Madrid is not. Real Madrid is struggling. They're second in the league. They've been able to reduce the lead, I think, to 4 points now between them and Barcelona, but they're not having a very good season in the Champions League with the new Champions League format. So exciting game. Excited to see how Carlo Ancelotti sets his team up against Liverpool. Is it going to be an offensive team? Is it going to be more of a defensive team and relying on counterattack? I think that might be the case, but time will tell. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care.